to question the history?
All right, today we're doing something a little different. We're not just going to read history, we're going to debug it. Think about the past as a kind of operating system, a program that runs the world. But we've been digging into the source code, and we think we found a massive, undeniable glitch.
Okay, check this out. This is the first major glitch we found in the matrix of history. On the left, you see the time before 9/11 and after 1313. Common royal names, Louis and Charles, totally normal. But look at the right side, that specific block of time from 9/11 to 1313. Louis and Charles, poof, they're gone, vanished. And in their place, two names that basically didn't exist in the royal family before, Conrad and Henry, suddenly take over everything. It's like someone flipped a switch in the code, a 402-year-long quarantine where only certain names were allowed to run.
So you gotta ask, what the heck is going on inside this 402-year black box? This is where it gets really interesting, because we're moving past just a weird anomaly and into what looks like, well, a full-blown algorithm. This isn't just a simple name swap, no way. What we're about to show you is a pattern that repeats, it grows, and honestly, it's just shockingly predictable.
And here it is. This is the blueprint. You could call it the source code that we're about to deconstruct. Now, I know at first glance it just looks like a complicated family tree, but look closer. What you're actually seeing is a highly structured, almost engineered sequence of kings. So let's dive in and break down the first subroutine in this program.
Here's the core logic, and this is wild. It's what programmers would call a recursive loop. Step 1, a king named Conrad kicks things off. Step 2, he's immediately followed by a king named Henry. Step 3, a bunch of other kings, we'll call them X, get their turn. Step 4, the whole set is closed out by, you guessed it, another Henry. But here's the kicker, the whole loop repeats, and each time it runs, the number of X kings in the middle grows by exactly 1. That is not how normal history works. That's code. Okay, so if that repeating name pattern is the algorithm, well, every good piece of software needs a system clock, right? Something to keep everything synchronized. And you know what? It turns out this historical code has one, a really rigid time-based structure that seems to control the entire period with just uncanny precision.
And that clock, it ticks to the rhythm of this number. 113 years. Think about that. It's not a nice round number like 50 or 100. It's a very specific prime number. And this right here appears to be the clock cycle of our historical machine. It sets the tempo for over 300 years of history.
Look how it plays out. In the year 911, a guy named Conrad I kicks off the first dynasty. Then, exactly 113 years later, in 1024, another Conrad, Conrad II, starts the next one. And then, like clockwork, exactly 113 years after that, in 1137, Conrad III starts the third dynasty. 3 major dynasties, each one launched by a king named Conrad, each one separated by precisely 113 years. I mean, come on. That's not a coincidence. That is clockwork.
And here they are, the men themselves, Conrad II and Conrad III. You know, it's one thing to just see numbers on a screen, but it's something else entirely to look at the faces of the men who, according to the history books, just happened to show up and start whole new eras with this kind of perfect timing. Makes you wonder, right? Did they have any idea they were part of this massive pattern? Or were they just actors playing their part in a script that was already written? At some point, coincidence stops looking like coincidence and starts looking a lot more like choreography.
Now, every piece of software has a programmer. Every building has an architect. And they almost always leave behind some kind of signature. If the patterns we've already seen are the building blocks, then what we're about to get into, this is the architect's signature. These are the little details, so specific and so strange that they feel like a deliberate signpost. This is the smoking gun that points away from random chance and towards intelligent design.
You have got to be kidding me. Look at this symmetry. It's perfect. The very last king before this whole 402-year system kicks in is Louis IV from Bavaria. Okay, so who's the very first king after the system ends? Louis IV, also from Bavaria. The entire complex 400-year algorithm is perfectly bracketed, like a piece of code, by 2 kings with the exact same name, number, and origin. It's too neat. It can't be a coincidence.
So you might be thinking, okay, but surely there are some errors, some bugs in the code. And there is one exception to the rule. A single king in this whole period who doesn't fit the Conrad-Henry pattern.
a man named Lothar III. So where does this anomaly show up? Randomly? No. He is placed at the exact mathematical center of the entire 402-year system. The one guy who doesn't fit isn't a bug, he's a feature. He's the central axis that the entire structure seems to pivot around.
Okay, to really see how deep this rabbit hole goes, we need to talk about some weird math for a second. We need to talk about something called a Mirp number. Yeah, M-I-R-P. It's a prime number that, when you reverse the digits, creates a different prime number. So for instance, 13 is a prime, right? Flip it, you get 31, also a prime. These things are really, really rare, so just keep that in mind.
And here's why that matters. Remember that system clock, 113 years? Well, 113 is a Mirp. Its reverse, 311, is also prime. Okay, what about the total number of kings in the system? 31, also a Mirp, because its reverse is 13. And the total number of different names used for all those kings? You guessed it, 13. The people who designed this, whoever they were clearly obsessed with this very specific, very rare numerological signature. This is unbelievable.
Okay, let's pull all of this together. Let's recap. We're not talking about one or two weird coincidences here. What we're looking at are multiple interlocking systems, layers of logic, all running in perfect parallel, laid on top of each other. And when you see it all at once, it leads you to a pretty inescapable conclusion.
You've got 4 patterns, all perfectly coordinated. First, that recursive naming algorithm, Conrad, Henry, X Kings, Henry, and it grows. Second, the 1130-year system clock, launching Dynasties right on schedule. Third, that perfect symmetrical frame with Louis IV on both ends and Lothar right in the middle. And fourth, the name Quarantine. Conrad and Henry only appear inside the system, Louis and Charles only outside. I mean, any one of these patterns would be incredible, but all 4 of them working together in perfect harmony? That goes way beyond coincidence.
And you know what? That brings us to the core finding from the source document this is all based on. I'm just going to read this quote directly because it says everything. Such a sequence of kings cannot reflect the actual course of events in the past. Let me repeat that. This isn't just my take on it. This is the conclusion drawn from the data itself. The patterns are they're too perfect, too structured, too mathematical to be the result of messy, chaotic, real-world human history.